Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cisco U Theater for some fun certification trivia. We'll be starting shortly, but while you're sitting here, go ahead and scan the QR code, and it will prompt you for a passcode. That's just U Trivia, all lowercase, no dashes. Get joined up. All of the questions in here are tied back to some of our most common blueprints, the Cisco Certified Network Associate, CCNA, DevNet Associate, and there might be a couple of questions from the Enterprise Core exam. Are there any certified people in the audience? Anybody got a certification? Anybody studying for a certification? All right, well, maybe this will encourage you to dive in. Is there anybody familiar with how network engineering works? Do you know what an IP address is? Okay. Heard of spanning tree? All right, I think we'll be okay. It's all for fun and games, though we do have some interesting prizes. And so the goal here is that the top 1 and 2 place in our trivia game today will earn a prize. You earn points based on 2 things. If you get the questions right, surprise, you get points. And then how fast you answer correctly also kind of earns you some points. The idea being that if 3 people all get 15 questions right, whoever got those questions right the fastest is number 1. Second fastest is number 2. So that's how that works through. Does that make sense? I believe I have 17 questions that we will go through. Each of the questions has either 50 seconds or 60 seconds that you'll be able to look at it and place your answer. You'll answer your questions right on your mobile devices. If you answer and then, oh, I was wrong, you can change it, right? After you hit submit, you can go in and change it until the question and the time is over on that, okay? Some of the questions require looking at graphics. For most of those, I give a little bit longer time if you've got to dive into it. But again, they all come from our certification exams, and they'll go on that side. So we'll give it just another minute or 2 for everybody to get joined up. I'm showing 12 people in, or 13 people in, and we have like 14 and then a couple in the back. So we'll give it just a few minutes, and then we will go ahead and get started. If anybody is watching us on the live stream, you are welcome to join in as well. Just scan the QR code that you see, and it'll allow you to join in just like those of us here on site. Unfortunately, if you're watching over the stream, it's really hard for me to hand you the prize, and so you won't be able to win our prizes if you're coming in over YouTube. Those are just for all of you. Excellent. All right. I'm going to give it just another until my watch says 4:05, and then we will get started. Okay. All right, we're up to 17 people. That's great. Everybody enjoying Cisco Connect so far? Have some good sessions? Learn some stuff? I know, I see the head nods. You can say that. I know you've all been at the pool bar and at the pizza joint. My favorite place to go is the unlimited macaroons that they have, the little cookies. I've been there 5 times already in the last 2 days. They just keep giving you cookies. It's fantastic. I could really get into this idea of an all-inclusive resort. All right, we're almost there. Ooh, I have a couple of my coworkers coming in. Let's see how they do. Don't worry, they're not allowed to win the prizes. There you go. Excellent. All right. I see some phones up on the QR codes. I want to make sure everybody can get in. As a reminder, 2 characteristics for earning points: right answers and how fast you answer the questions. That doesn't mean that being fast is better than being right. You get no points if you're wrong, even if you're the fastest person to put the wrong answer in. Okay. All right, we're at 19 and 4:05. Is everybody ready? All right, get your phones ready. When I make the questions go here, your phone should pop up as well. I will read the questions, but I know you're also reading and trying to go fast, but we'll try to get it going through. And our first question is about one of my favorite topics in networking. There we go. What is the final tiebreaker for spanning tree decisions? So when trying to make decisions about root bridge or which ports will forward, there are all sorts of things that are considered. Which one is the final, the last 1. I'm seeing some dumbfounded looks out in the audience. This comes straight from our CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate Blueprint. I can see some people changing their minds as answers go from 30% of the answers to 0% of the answers. All right, time's almost up. There's no penalty for getting it wrong. So if you're not sure, just guess. 1 in 4 chance. All right, here's our distribution of results. Destination port priority took 39% of it. The correct answer for this is the sender port ID. The idea here is, let's say you've got 2 ports on a switch that are both connected into you. One of them is Gigabit Ethernet 01, one of them is Gigabit Ethernet 02, and we just have to pick which one to use. We go with the lowest sender port ID. Gigabit Ethernet 1 would be selected. With a spanning tree, everything's always the lowest value. Low is better. One of my personal pet peeves of networking is that we didn't all come together and decide whether we were going to prefer lower or higher numbers. Sometimes we want the highest number. Sometimes we want the lowest number. It's very confusing. Next question. What does the -D mean in this command? Docker run -IT-D. What does the -D mean in this command? This would come from our automation track, the DevNet Associate specifically. What does the -D mean? Seeing some strong answers come through. I'm assuming a few of you folks do some automation work, or at least have dabbled with containers. Almost done, 5 seconds. All right. All right, run the container in the background took 40%. With 30%, just a little back there, would delete the container. The correct answer on this one is indeed run the container in the background. Congratulations to those that got that. Now this command would also delete it, but it's the --rm that would remove the container when it was done running automatically. That's what deletes it. -D in this case stands for daemon, like a service running in the background. All right, next question, question number 3. Which of the following represents the signal strength of a wireless network at the client? So we've got 4 different characteristics of wireless networks. Which one represents the signal strength at the client? All right. About 20 seconds left to go. At least a quarter of networking is just vocabulary, like anything else that's out there. What do these words mean? 5 seconds. Got almost a 3-way tie with some of these answers. All right. We've got 30% for SNR and RSSI. Correct answer on this one is RSSI, Received Signal Strength Indicator. The key part here is at the client. It was received. It's how loud does it sound at the client side. SNR, signal to noise ratio. Wireless is a shared medium. So we've got our signal strength from the antennas, but we might have microwaves, Bluetooth, people out there with random gadgets in their pockets. Those all generate noise. And so SNR is the signal to noise ratio. Next question, bringing us to question 4. Which OSI layer is responsible for creating frames? Frames. We've got layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. As we create communications to go over a network, at each layer there's a different name we give these things. Which layer is a frame? The OSI model continues to be an important topic for our network engineers. We introduce it at the CCNA and continue up as we go through. 10 seconds to go. While you're answering, if you've answered in, we've got some nice refreshments coming along. So if you would like to partake, please go ahead and grab something. If you're standing in the back, feel free to come up. We've got some snacks as well. Oh, we finished up. All right. 65% say that frames happen at layer 2. All right. I think that is a good sign. All right. You all, I think, are getting ready for your network CCNA certifications. That is correct. Frames are at layer 2. What do we call them at layer 3? Anybody know? Just shout it out. Packets. Excellent. What about layer 4? I heard nanograms. That's not. I can't hear you. Datagrams. All right, we're getting there. Yeah. So everything has a different name that comes in. Next question up. What special keystroke or character is needed to create this VLAN? A VLAN with name my $VLAN. So the hint here is that putting a $sign in a VLAN's name is a challenging thing to do. There's a special keystroke you need to do. Now, back when I first took my CCNA, this was the kind of terrible question we would put on the exam. We generally don't do these anymore, but they're still kind of fun. So which keystroke is needed so that you can create a VLAN with a $sign in the name? This is a tough one. I'm really glad we don't put these kind of questions on the exams anymore. I would also be very disappointed in my network architect if I was told to create a VLAN that was named like that. All right. I like these choices, right? The backslashes show up as like escape characters, right? I'm on board for that. That would make complete sense, but unfortunately, that's not the right answer. The right answer is Control-V. I don't know why, but if you're on an iOS switch and you want to put a $sign in your name, you can type Control-V and then hit $sign, and that will put it in the name. Now that you've got this little bit of trivia, please do not go make all of your network engineers and operations folks back home upset with you and adding $signs into all your VLAN names. It's really not worth it. All right, moving along here. There's still time to join if you've straggled in. The QR code over there will let you join our trivia game. You just need a mobile device. All right, next question, question number 6. In the following image, what does that chunk of characters represent? All right, so we've got our image over here. This chunk of characters, what does that represent in that image? This is another automation question related to REST APIs, specifically authentication and authorization with REST APIs. Okay. Good questions. 20 seconds to go. Remember, if you're not sure you got it right, you can always change your answer. That's not a hint that some of you answered it wrong or anything. 5 seconds to go. Still time for those of you trying to figure out which one it is. All right. All right, API token at 42% took the high. The rest of them are kind of a wash as it goes in. Correct answer on this one is the encoded username : password. The key information on this one is it's authorization basic. Basic is, as it would imply, a very basic form of authentication. And in fact, if you took this string of characters and then did a base 64 decode on it, it's not encrypted, it's just encoded, you would get username : password, those actual words in there. It's just an encoded, base 64 encoding. All right, moving right along into our next question. What class of IP is the address 225.101.23.234? So back to classful IP addresses, A, B, C, D, and E. Which class does that address come from? "20 seconds to go. Still time to get your answers in. 10 seconds. Which class? All right. Class D is certainly in the lead with 42%. A little bit back here. I like to see this answer because Class D is in fact correct. Class D represents multicast addresses, those IP addresses that when you send to that address, lots of different people might want that. Heavily used for video, audio transmissions, things like that. All right, class-based IP addresses. Our next question on this one brings us to question number 8. Which is the least preferred in the BGP best path algorithm? This would come from our enterprise core exam blueprint. So BGP, the routing protocol used on the internet to make the internet function. BGP doesn't pick routes, it picks paths. And so which of these is the least preferred? The least preferred. All right. 20 answers in, 10 seconds or so to go. Who in the audience has configured and used BGP before? Anyone? We've got one, couple out there. Julio, one of our social media guys, under the covers BGP guy. Did you work at Facebook when that whole? No? Okay, just checking. All right, correct answer, or here we go. Our distribution shows here, origin type is coming in. Correct answer on this one is the MED, multi-exit discriminator, I think is what it stands for. Local preference of these 4 options, local preference is the best selection, followed by AS path, then origin type, with the MED at the end of the algorithm choice that's in there. The actual best preference, it's not one of our options, would be wait. Right? Wait is the most preferred. Moving along into question number 9. What is the administrative distance for OSPF? So we're going from a difficult enterprise professor CCNP question down to a CCNA. What is the administrative distance of OSPF? All right. Some OSPF fans out there, I can already tell. We have some more drinks coming around here if anybody is thirsty. About 15 seconds left. Still some time to lock your answers in. Got one answer that I put in here just to be a little tricky, and not a one of you fell for it. I'm proud of everybody. All right, as we come here to the end. All right, very strong performance here for the 110. Correct answer is indeed 110. 110 is the administrative distance of OSPF. What is 90? Which routing protocol uses 90 as its AD? EIGRP. What about 120? RIP, exactly. I was a little sad when we took RIP off the CCNA blueprint. I still think it was a solid protocol, not to use in an actual network, but to learn how routing worked. And then 130. 130 is not used for any routing protocols that are out there. And good on all of you. Not one person picked that one. You can keep those network engineering titles. Moving right along to our next question. In which of the following technologies is white space relevant? The idea here is that some of these data formats, if you stick a random white space in it, it can completely make things break. In other formats, you can put white spaces all day long, or you can take away all of the white spaces, and the data doesn't change its meaning. And so only one of these would be white space relevant. Which one is it? I would love one. Thank you. Gracias. 15 seconds to go. Five seconds. Anybody in the audience work with network automation, programmability? I know you two do. Programmability APIs. That's where these topics come in. This would come in definitely in our DevNet Associate certification, but we also start to see it show up in CCNA and some of the enterprise ones. Let's see, JSON took 37, followed by YAML. Correct answer on this one is YAML. YAML is white space relevant. YAML is nice because it's pretty easy to read. It doesn't have a lot of extraneous curly braces or semicolons or strange tags. So it makes it easy to read, but it's easy to read because the white space is what we use to delimit and identify things, which also makes it one of the most frustrating data formats to find an error in when you have an extra white space someplace. One little space can mess the whole file up. JSON, XML, and Yang, you can add in hundreds of extra white spaces or take away almost every space that's in there and it would still work generally fine. I don't recommend that. It makes it really hard to read if you take out all the white spaces, but you could. All right, moving along to question 11. Which of the following is true based on the image? So in this case, this image is the output. Oh, it's really small. Hopefully it's better on your screens, but this is the output from the show NTP association command, so time protocol. And so it's asking for which of the following is true. I gave a little extra time on this one so that you could look at it, kind of hone in on what's there. $20 seconds to go. $5 seconds. Again, there's no penalty for getting it wrong, so if you're not sure, just guess. All right. In our distribution, we've got 41% about 0.8 seconds behind, 26 down here. Correct answer on this one is, oops, lost my cursor, is the final answer. The server is 1.24 seconds ahead of the client. The offset shows you how far the client is ahead of the reference clock that's in place. If it was negative 1.24, it would show that we're behind the clock that's there, right? And I will admit, I don't remember what all of these different columns mean, but the offset one is a really important one to keep track of, particularly if you're trying to do log analysis. You want to line up the timestamp from one log to another log, or anything related to authentication. Delay can be really important. All right, moving right along. Question 12, what is an advantage of a distributed version control, such as Git? We had a session earlier today where we talked about automation tools, including Git, really great utility. Which one of these is an advantage of a distributed version control system? Coming up on 15 seconds to go. 5 seconds. Nice strong answers on this. All right. 58% picked this choice, which is a great thing to see. That is indeed the correct answer. Multiple developers contributing to code or infrastructure automation. That's a highlight of what distributed version control gives you. Now, each of these other things are great advantages, but they're not of distributed version control. For example, automating the test and deployment of code changes would come from some sort of a continuous integration or continuous delivery, CI/CD type of a tool. Describing infrastructure and machine readable files would be infrastructure as code, Ansible, Terraform, Puppet, right? And consistent configurations across the environment, more kind of infrastructure as code, automation types of capabilities. All right. Moving into an IPv6 question. How many unique IPv6 addresses are there? Are there 340 undecillion, 128 quadrillion, 256 trillion, or 4 billion? How many unique IPv6 addresses are there? All right. All right, we're coming to the end of this one. Doesn't matter which answer it is, there's big numbers available for all of those. 128 quadrillion. Now, IPv6 addresses are 128 bit, so that seems like it's a reasonable option to go in. But surprisingly, there are 340 undecillion unique addresses in IPv6. That is a lot of unique addresses. I don't think that oh, Joe wants more. My coworker in the back wants more addresses. 4 billion is the IPv4 address space. Right? We've actually gotten to the point now, that's the problem with IPv4 is there just wasn't enough, right? I want 4 billion. I mean, we have to share IP addresses between people on the planet. With 340 undecillion, right? Everybody can have lots of IP addresses still, and we've got some to spare. All right, the next question, if I've got this right yet. The next question, I'm going to give a little context before I show it. So Bridge IT is a Cisco internal ChatGPT artificial intelligence chatbot. Or is everybody familiar with like ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and asking questions and all sorts of weird answers? And so for this question, I posed a question to our internal artificial intelligence chatbot. And I really wanted to know what the future of, I don't know, network engineering, humanity, and world safety might have to do. And so the question here is, what was the answer that our tool gave? And so what question did I ask? I asked, what was Bridge IT's answer to the prompt in 5 words or less? What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? Which one of those is the answer that our internal artificial intelligence gave? You just guess. The answer was it comes down to how optimistic are you, right, about artificial intelligence. Yeah, this is not a question that would show up on a certification exam, but we are starting to talk about artificial intelligence in our exams. My coworker is really worried about getting their answer wrong at this point. How do I know? You just guess. Really comes down to that training data. It makes you wonder what the artificial intelligence thinks when they read the internet about what is the most important things out there. All right. It looks like our audience today is fairly optimistic about artificial intelligence with purpose, fulfillment, connections, growth, and happiness. I personally was really worried it was going to be assimilation, resistance, conformity, unity, and domination was going to be the meaning of life. And these other ones, I could see them coming in. But the answer actually given was that optimistic one in the middle, which let me breathe a brief sigh of relief. I don't know how long this is going to be artificial intelligence idea. And I'm also really curious how long it's going to take for artificial intelligence to learn how to lie and give the answer we want to hear. So we'll keep our eye on Bridge IT. All right, moving right along. Question 15, we're almost done. What is a software tool that takes advantage of a weakness in a system? Another where definitions are important. This comes from our security-related blueprints. And I think this is on the CCNA as well. And so we learn about the differences between threats, vulnerability, exploits, and viruses. Which one of those is a software tool that takes advantage of a weakness in a system? "15 seconds to go." All right, lock those answers in. All right, majority of folks said exploit. Strong majority of folks said exploit, and that is indeed the correct answer. An exploit is a software tool that takes advantage of a weakness in a system. A weakness in a system would be a vulnerability. An active thing going on to take advantage might be a threat. And then a virus is a specific type of malware that's out there, right? All right, that gives us, we've got 2 questions left. Question 16. What TCP port is standard for the NETCONF protocol? What TCP port is standard for the NETCONF protocol? Excellent potential choices here. This is another one that's clearly from our automation blueprints, DevNet Associate, but I think we also touch on this in CCNA a little bit, and certainly in some of the CCNP enterprise. NETCONF and IETF standard kind of, I don't know if replacement's the right word, but improvement on what we had with SNMP. 10 seconds to go. All right, lock those answers in. All right, strong preference here for port 830. I think Joe, our resident member of the IETF Operations Working Group, something like that, would agree. 830 is the correct answer. Now, NETCONF operates over the SSH protocol. SSH obviously uses 22, so that was a safe answer, or a reasonable one. If anybody's done any of the DevNet Sandbox or Learning Labs, you may have seen that we were using port 10,000 for NETCONF, and that's because we couldn't use the standard port for one security reason or another. But the standard default port for NETCONF is indeed port 830. All right, everybody ready for the final question? Who thinks they're in the lead? Who thinks they've already won this game? We got a few folks that seem confident. Let's see what our final question is. What type of tunnel supports multicast traffic? What type of tunnel supports multicast traffic? All right, there's some confident folks right into it. Is it our SSL VPN, IPsec VPN, GRE, or Q&Q? Which type of tunnel supports multicast traffic? 20 seconds to go. All right. I've appreciated the focused effort on these questions, right? If you've done it here, don't forget, if you've enjoyed this process, you can actually go upstairs to the testing center and get even more questions. And at the end of that one, you can earn a nice, shiny certification. There is not alcohol up in the testing center, unfortunately. However, we do have a deal going on, 75% off the list price for the exams if you test here on site. So there's still time to go up and register and take exams tomorrow. We open at 8 a.m. That's the advertisement portion of today's trivia game. All right, what do we have? IPsec VPN came in first, followed by GRE, and then down. Now, correct answer here is the GRE, generic routing encapsulation. It's one of the reasons GRE continues to be very important in VPN technologies. GRE on its own actually doesn't do encryption, so sometimes we have to put GRE and IPsec together if we need that multicast. That can be important for simply being able to do routing protocols over VPN. Many routing protocols rely on multicast types of traffic. All right, with that, we come to the end, and it's time to see the leaderboard. Who thinks that they've won? Who still has that confidence out there? Julio, our social media guy. Unfortunately, Julio, even if you're number one, you can't get the prizes. You work for Cisco. I know, it's sad. Rules, man, rules. You guys have rules here, right? It's not just, okay, I thought so. All right, leaderboard, where do we have? Kareem, well done. Oh, you potty mouth Kareem. He was so surprised. I don't know whether to believe, how to take that with the shock that he had so well. But where is Durlisar? Excellent. A Cisco partner, not Cisco. So you, my friend, can win a prize. What about Gustavo Mayano? Where's Gustavo? Might be one of our... Gustavo, if you're on the stream, I'm sorry I can't give a water bottle through the camera. I wish I could. No Gustavo here? You, Gustavo? No? Okay. All right. Quinny? Oh, Quinny. Another one. Okay, he's all right. That brings us to Juan Navarro. Juan, do you work for Cisco? No, he does not work for Cisco, so he wins our second prize. Excellent. If I can get my 2 prize winners to come on up, we'll go ahead and give those prizes out. Now, we still have our happy hour going here. We've got some drinks in the back and some snacks. And as mentioned, we'll be back here tomorrow with more sessions at the Cisco U Theater, as well as continued breakouts. Our testing center is open. If you're interested in Cisco U, what we have to do with tutorials or information about certifications, our partners, please stop by and visit with some of our folks and team members that are there. And then, as always, enjoy the rest of your time here in Cancun. It's always one of my favorite events of the year. Take care, everybody.